They say it's lonely at the top. Well, I say that it won't be so forever and it won't be so for long. What's up, everybody? It's me, Danae. I'm here with a message for you. Today is Thursday, June 18th, 2026. 2:47 on the clock, which is about an 11:11 when you break it down. Interestingly enough, we're going to use Intuitive Kev's tarot, iKev tarot deck today. And I did pre-shuffle quite a bit, even my black and white deck. And there were a lot of messages. I actually kind of felt a little bit overwhelmed by how many things were kind of coming at me. So what it boils down to is exactly what I just said, more or less. There are just some really powerful and swift changes underway that, although, you may have gotten used to life at a certain pace, at a certain frequency, with certain people, even by yourself, or in a particular routine, there's something that's about to sweep through that is just going to change everything. And I get no indication that for most, especially that identify with star power, that it's going to be a good change. There are going to be good changes, but nonetheless, something to adjust to and to, to realign with to some degree, a new normal to get accustomed to. But as I like to say, more than likely a good challenge, problem, struggle, whatever you want to look at, however you want to see it, to have. So let's see what we got here today. Oh, shit. Not the Empress. Lord. Some new arrivals, manifestations coming to full term, being delivered, maybe a new you that is being birthed out of an old era or old season, having come to the full maturity of your true identity, and it's like you're ready to pop. It's kind of like, it's change that's happening in a way where it's inevitable. Something kind of has to give, in the same way that the Empress in this depiction is expecting. At some point in time, it's well, you gotta deliver. You can't stay pregnant forever. There was always an expected due date or delivery date to look forward to. And of course, sometimes that date comes surprisingly earlier than others. Sometimes it lingers a little bit longer and you're overdue. No matter where you fall in line, one thing is for certain: you got to give birth at some point in time. And I get for many, if not for all, this is the season of your full term. Maybe things that you've been working on. Oh, not Temperance, Lord. And I just heard midwife. It's like Temperance is the midwife to help guide and manage that process, to maintain the balance, the harmony, the frequency, the equilibrium, if you will. Maybe the one on the side of the bed giving you ice chips and and depending on how bad the pain is, maybe even getting on your nerves a little bit. But in the end, you're kind of happy to have that energy there and with you, and reassuring you that you got it, you're not alone, and making the inevitable that much more, at least feel that much more secure, you know, as you're going through the process of bringing new life into the world. I'm given that this is definitely a blessed birth, or blessed delivery or deliverance. That word's been coming up a lot this week. Coming out, maybe. Like I said, it's definitely just could be you now presenting yourself in an undeniable way, and in no uncertain terms, just living your truth out loud in a way that maybe could even be astounding or surprising from the outside, and even more so than it is a shakeup for you. You know, maybe it just shakes up your world to finally, like, almost present yourself or reintroduce yourself. Yeah, I'm getting this is like an escort, because I keep hearing debutante, like a debutante ball. And this temperance angel is kind of like, imagine Archangel Michael being your escort. What? Not your baby daddy. I heard that clear as day. Your partner? Let me one between these two. Your sacred partner. What the? Don't get quiet on me now. Hold on. Let's see what this is, but I'm not going to take it. The world. Oh my goodness. What? Oh, shoot. Oh, look at that. 7 of Swords. Like somebody is lurking in the shadows, trying to get a sneak peek or some type of insider information about this. But this is a cycle completed and newly beginning all at the same time. And I think the ending is on the 7 of Swords energy, whatever the interference or disruptive spirit that it has always kind of been lurking nearby. Maybe, as I was saying before, like almost delaying this delivery, this due date, this union, this coming together. And what did I just say? That is lonely at the top, but not forever and not for long. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna put it back because fairly I said I wasn't gonna take it, but let me see. I mean, I should, for all intents and purposes, I should, because that's such a powerful card. I mean, 3 major arcanas out the deck. But let me see. And a vampire. Yeah, something is all up, but we've already seen the world. And I'm hearing world without end. This is definitely, and I said this is like a sacred birth or blessed birth, I think I said. There's something sacred and holy about a union that has been being resisted for a long time. Something that's been in the works, overdue to some degree on account of the resistance and disruptions of some type of like heaven and earth covenant. And that's what it could be quite practically representing here. The Empress and Temperance, like heaven integrating with earth in a very actual and practical way. In a way that none of us in our breath of life have ever witnessed before, like witnessed the evidence of. There's the legend of that, through different stories. Oh my gosh. I just heard Mary and Jesus and Magdalene, not, which honestly, let me not get too deep, but Magdalene is what I hear and what I see with the temperance, and how something about like that union has always been so sacred. Even in the stories and the depictions, you can't really kind of miss the sacredness of it, although I'm sure editors of the text have tried, to, and in some ways successfully did do a good job in depicting Mary as some type of harlot and prostitute, which would deem her more or less unfit to be a partner to someone as such so holy as Jesus. Like the two have no business together. She's only saved by his grace, but him not, but negating that the part of Jesus being covered by hers. There's a union here that's always been a package deal, but it was rewritten for, ulterior motives, to only highlight one masculine side while depreciating and even degrading. The wind is blowing so crazy right now. Degrading, disgracing even the feminine. Ooh, and I said your baby daddy. Something wild is about to be revealed. And revealed in a way where the evidence is, like I said, is irrefutable. Although some may still deny it or resist it, like, no, that ain't what's in the Bible, or that ain't this, or that ain't that. It's something that's about to take place here that is either going to advance the symbolism and of course affirm the symbolism of the text that I'm referring to, or that we've been conditioned to refer to as something very actual and practical, or it's bringing it to life in a real time that is just a whole nother thing. Like, I don't even, do y'all hear? I don't think you can hear the wind, but it's like, it's so beautiful and sunny out, but the wind is like wild right now. My windows are closed because I had the air on, but the wind, I guess I could have had my windows open all this time. It's wild out there. Six of Pentacles. Yeah, something's coming back around. And it's also balance, leveling the playing field. As I was saying before, like the oh my gosh, the imbalance of one star, and that was one of the main cards that stuck out to me in the pre-shuffle. And I actually almost, did I say the life of a star is a solemn one? I think I meant to if I didn't, because that also came up. Something about yeah, like there's some type of reconciliation that's happening. And it might be between souls that have been disconnected and misunderstood, and like I said, disgraced, one uplifted, and so on and so forth. But there's a balancing and a union that's coming into play, and it may be, I'm speaking of it as one, but it's most likely many unions that are coming online that are evidential of the balance that was always divine to be, that actualize it, practicalize it, and exemplify it in a way that it's an inspiration to model. Something about the Six of Pentacles is screaming to me, though. Let me see one between, let me see one down here. Because that's like a what goes around comes around, you know, something coming back into order or back where, you know, it's supposed to. Yeah. What's that? Nine of Swords. Look at all these cards down here. That's extreme worry and anxiety of exactly what I'm saying. Because what happens with the Six of Pentacles, generally it's what goes around comes around card. You know, what goes up, what must come down, as above so below type energy. And it also, even next to the Temperance, depicts this almost like a change, a transfer of maybe wealth and power or influence altogether that once was held captive in a much lower frequency, and now has finally been liberated to live on its organic frequency, like where it all began, or where it was always destined to transcend to, if not for these almost like lower vibrational anchors that were keeping it down or keeping it from becoming wholly whole. And so what that means, of course, is that if now this energy is liberated to ascend, excel, transcend, then this lower frequency is obviously going to be on the, you know, having a very contrary experience, not holding power, not holding influence as it did before. And that could be by way of fear, anxiety, scarcity, greed, jealousy, envy, illusions, obsession, possession, like all of those things, especially on account of things that are not rightfully yours or divinely assigned to you to maintain or to possess or you know, whatever, manipulate. It's like the Empress carrying a child for 9-10 months, and someone less than on the sidelines, like rubbing their hands, like, you know what I mean? Well, who's that? I forget who does that. This bringing their hands like, oh, that baby's about to be mine. As soon as they pop, you know what I mean? I don't know why I got that weird ass analogy. It could really just be, like I said, these energies kind of on standby with the Seven of Swords. Okay, that makes sense. Just waiting, like peeking through the door to see when you gonna finally pop, when your water's gonna break, when this turnaround is going to be in full effect, when it could even be actually some type of finances that are due to be transferred or rerouted, or could just even be luck, favor that's switching hands, and energies that, you know, are looking to more or less like siphon from that, or feed off of that in some type of way, are anticipating when would be a good time to make their move. But the Nine of Swords is like a racked with anxiety and fear and uncertainty, unrest, You can't do nothing in that energy, not in this season. And especially when it's deceptive anyway. So it's really, it's like this energy is its own worst enemy, really and truly, when it comes down to it. But let's see what else we got here. Oh, I was supposed to be, was I getting more? No, I was going back up top. 10 of Cups. Oh my goodness. With the baby girl. I don't think I've ever seen the 10 of Cups in this deck. I don't think so. Well, she holding up the peace sign. That's a big ass baby Kev with a pacifier in her mouth. But obviously they're well nurtured. This is a union that's very much so intact, that has proven itself to be, it's like having a complicated pregnancy the whole way through. Not that the Empress looks like that, because she actually looks quite pretty and lovely, as a matter of fact. But it's like having maybe a complicated delivery. Maybe that's the thing. I, for one, can attest to that. I had an amazing pregnancy from beginning to end. No complaints, 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Hopefully one day I get it again, if Lord willing, because I could be good with one. But it would be nice to have a little girl, a little me. But my delivery was a bit of a surprise, because my son was going into distress once the contractions were getting more intense. He was going into distress, and who knows for how long, but it wasn't known until I was actually admitted to the hospital, and I labored a bit at home before I went in. Well, I went in, and then they sent me back home, and then I went back in after they got closer together and more intense. And when they finally got me on the monitor, they were noticing his distress. And so what I thought, I was in for a long haul, strapping in, for the delivery that you anticipate having naturally. The doctor took one look at the monitor and was like, get the OR ready. Like, no conversation, no prepping, no nothing. It was like 0 to 100. And not long after, I had a baby. When I was probably supposed to be strapped in for at least a good, I would imagine, another 12 hours or so by general standards. But anyway, I'm saying that to say that I can relate to having a lovely pregnancy and then the delivery just going completely awry from what you had in mind or what you thought was going to be typical. But nonetheless, I have a beautiful baby boy who's now 10 years old in this world, and healthy as ever, and brilliant as even more brilliant. And here it is that the baby girl, of which there was great resistance, and look, it's on the other side of this energy here. Maybe that's the reason for the worry, is because the deliverance has already happened. As a matter of fact, I feel like the rude awakening was on account of the realization that the relationship, the connection itself, was the forming, and coming into fruition, is or was the indication that the baby girl was inevitable, or the baby, it doesn't have to be a girl, like the fruit of this connection was inevitable, because all that was necessary was for two energies to finally be on the same alignment, to be ready at the same time, in the same season, like available, willing, able to contribute to this covenant of which clearly is of high reverence to the divine in some way, shape, or form. I get the sense of the Six of Pentacles is something that's being restored here, that can only be done through holy union or a holy bond, a holy commitment. And holy in this case doesn't have to be, again, ultra religious, as I like to say. It's just something that is balanced, that's aligned, that is harmonious, that's healthy, that's honest and true. Where it could just be two people or two elements, people, places, or things that are converging at exactly the proper moment or on exactly the proper timeline to bring forth oh man, to birth a nation of peace and love. That's what I'm getting from this card. And I get how that gets to be practically, it feels grand because of the holiness and the Empress and the Temperance and and so much, such big energies and pitted against it is also an indication, that it's something worth fighting for and fighting against at the same time. But practically speaking, that's, like I said, just having a healthy bond and giving birth to healthy, well-nurtured children that ultimately carry on that legacy, God willing, that perhaps maybe change the trajectory of the legacy that was before them in a powerful way. Like you could have the Empress, like I said before, like having a tumultuous pregnancy. Theoretically, you could have the Temperance in a very imbalanced situation in their, maybe in their upbringing. The Empress having a lot of resistance to finally bloom and blossom into the full woman that they were meant to be due to different trials, tribulations, and circumstances. But when the two energies that have come into their full wholeness, them individually, and then come together, that births a whole new, like, I don't know, like species of creation. Like, I don't know what this is. Like a whole new creature, at least a whole nother frequency of creation that was unknown before they came together. This is, I don't even think I'm touching the surface on this, for real. Let me go down low. Let's see what's going on down there. Three of Pentacles. Yeah. Trying to gather the coins, put their heads together, perhaps, to figure out, once again, it's like how it's tracking is like somebody hot on the trail, at least so they think or they believe, but they're still always a step behind, because this is divine order here. This is divine order. There's nothing that's really going to derail this at this point, because it's already been written. The setting has been established. The timing is aligned. The elements are in order. And it's given, like, no matter what the resistance is, and there may always be a resistance, it will always falter against what is ordained to be, no matter what. It's like trying to change a prophecy while it's already mid fruition. Like, it's already underway. It's already happening. And that maybe was the energy that's been, persisting over and over, like finding new clever ways to intercept, detour, delay. If nothing else, at least delay. If you can't stop it altogether, then can we delay it for another lifetime? Can we move the pieces around so they're hard to find each other or hard to connect? Can we disturb this one and have this one move forward ahead? Or, to me, let that one move ahead while this one stays behind. Because as long as there was a disparity, then there would be a delay. But this temperance energy is confirmation that all systems are a go now. It's the birth of a nation of peace and love. Or an era of peace and love, but I feel like this is let's go back up. This is here to stay. The Lovers. Oh my God. This is here to stay. It's edged in stone, and by stone I mean like stone tablets. The type of prophecy and testaments that were written before there were pages. Maybe even just spoken word, before there was even a way to record it, that this was just the original divine design for creation to live in peace and in love. Oh my goodness. Wow. The world, here it is again. I said, no, you were right. You should have taken me when you saw me. But it's beautiful that it comes here anyway, because it's putting a close to this energy here. It's like a full stop. A full stop. Into this, beginning to this. And I did say earlier, world without end. That's like, I think that's the scripture, but I know that we used to sing that as like a benediction, as after the benediction in church. It's like, glory be to the Father and to the Son and to the Holy Ghost, as it was in the beginning, 'tis now and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Amen. I could end it right there. As it was in the beginning, 'tis now and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Amen. It is so. It is so. And it got the enemy dizzy. And I was seeing that too. And that's why I was like, you know what? It was giving way too much life to the adverse energy. Like, at every turn, it was still like good news. But then it was like the devil. And, like it was still. But even still, as those energies were coming up, it was always in the sense of being stopped or blocked, or what was the main thing I saw? Yeah, like almost being like disabled in a sense. Their plans being the plan of the enemy, whatever, you know, you perceive to be an enemy force, because that could be within you even, and most likely is before it even is external. But whatever that resistance was, that opposition was still finding roadblocks and hidden walls and dead ends at every single turn. So I really just didn't know how to, and it's funny because it's playing out anyway, both sides of it really, for the most part, but far more expressive on this love energy than I was seeing so plainly. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's go back up. How can it get any better than the Lovers? Really? The King of Wands. For me, yes. Because next to an Emperor, the only thing I want to see out of the kings, for real, is the King of Wands. Nah, that's not true. I want to see all the kings in one, which would mean the ideal would be the Emperor. But of course, I love the Temperance too. That's Sagittarius energy. This is more fire energy, you know. It's just like, personally answering the question, it's a no for me. It can't get, I mean, yes, I mean to say it can get better, because this qualifying coming after the Lovers is someone that's confident, that knows how to hold their power, knows how to wield their power, and also knows how to control themselves, especially when we're coming from the Temperance in the first place. You definitely want, I mean, that's an alpha male, one that has temperance and self-control, but still is confident beyond measure. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And attractive, meaning they can, and creative. Okay, somebody. Whew, I'm getting hot. Is it hot here, or is it just me? Oh, Jesus. That's a ruler, a leader. Social media, interesting. And next to the World card, so this could, like, the spectacle of it all, it does make sense that it could quite literally be displayed for the world to see, or there it be accessible for the world to see, the evidence of this fulfilled prophecy and the emergence of this legacy. Is like having a couples channel or a family channel or something like that, or some whatever type of platform, or in whatever type of social media space you have, it being like a pristine projection of love on display. And not just, you know, the fairy tale or the facade, you know what I mean? Like the doing it for the gram exclusively type of partnership or love, literally partnership for profit purposes. This is like, and it may not even be absolutely social media, but it's just given that it could be, yeah, especially with the King of Wands, it just could be a type of connection. Or let's start with this, since this is heavy on that. I won't detour it. The type of connection that just attracts attention no matter where you are and what you're doing. Y'all could just be sitting there having lunch, or having a conversation over coffee at Starbucks, or holding hands on the boardwalk or whatever, but there's something that emits from this union. And maybe even that proceeds you, is that the right word? Or precedes you? Well, follows you, of your children, or whatever it is that you're building together, maybe even a business or some type of initiative or whatever. Whatever the two have some type of connection to or influence on is like gold. 3:27 on the clock right now. It's like gold. So whether it's, like I said, something as primitive, more or less, as like your platforms, your social media channel, or just being in your own neighborhood, or in, around your particular walks of life, there's something very influential and inspiring and impactful about this connection that is undeniable. And I would go out on a limb to say it is infectious. And perhaps that's the world without end concept, because it's not just, okay, well, we have a great partnership, and now our kids have been nurtured in a way, we've trained them up to value peace and love in a certain frequency or at a certain level, and so their children's children and their children's children. But those are the influences that you're now releasing into the world as well. And then everything that you touch or associate with gets that, is infected by that frequency as well. So even though it could even start as a very small nuclear, literally, or in a cellular way, it can't help but spread. Whether that's biologically and actually, again, by way of your physical legacy, or just by the energy that is emitted from this ascended frequency of two lovers that are finally given the space and opportunity to be as they always were on, designed to be organically, and then hyper infusing those individual frequencies in a collective way that just like creates a resounding resonance, if you will. Or like I said, you ain't got to be doing nothing, but you just step into a space, a restaurant, a mall, this, and it's just like the energy automatically just completely changes. But it's bigger than that. I'm trying to bring it down to make it practical, but we got the world here. So it's like, this is a type of love, like I said, that is world changing. And it may be slowly but surely. It may be one lifetime at a time, or it could be in a full sweep. God only knows. I guess time will tell, though. Obviously, because as I said, it's already underway. It's already underway. That is something else. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. I was going to go one more in, but the world, I feel like that's a safe place to land. So let's just see what's on the bottom. I just kind of was curious about what's on the other side of the King of Wands. Let me take one more. Where are we at? 44. Oh my God. Wow. Wow, boy, am I ever ever grateful for that. And the trees are applauding once again through the wind outside. It's like, this is a divine love. Like, I don't even want to fuss around with these cars right now. Like, I just don't, but I will, because it's my OCD. And it'll bother me later if I don't. Divine love, holy love. And like I said, that's just brimming over into every auric space that it comes in contact with, and that is open to receive it. And hell, maybe in some ways that are not, because water can be very intrusive in a lot of ways, to kind of push its way through spaces that are resistant, like love, even when you don't mean to accept it or receive it. Try to keep a basement from getting flooded through a treacherous storm. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a poor example, but I think you get where I'm going. It's like, wherever the divine means for this cup to overflow, and wherever it means, whatever it means to overflow into, or it's meant to overflow into, it will. Just as much as it couldn't be stopped on this level from brimming over, or filling up, I should say. Yeah, filling up. It can't stop from, once this flow is started, you might as well, it's like a rip tide. I think that's what you call it. Like, you can try to fight against it if you want to, but you'll be much better off kind of just going with the flow, because one way or another it's going to take you down. And you could either let it carry you to shore safely and soundly, hopefully, or you can struggle against it and be drowned, because those are the options. A rip current, or whatever that's called. So, but those, like I said, there's really no fear when that's what you were in the market for anyway. And it still might take you by surprise, don't get me wrong, to be and find yourself in an overflow of love. It's still, like I said very early on, might be something to get used to or to readjust to, because it's not what has been typically the norm, in many ways. Maybe you've just been used to loving yourself and filling your own cup up for so many years that that's become sufficient. But now to have all that love for you, and then to get with someone that loves you just as much, if not even more, child. Because, the King of Wands can be an overwhelming energy. And if you telling me that this is the come from, sacred love is the come from, not just lust, not just attraction, not just sensuality or even sexuality, but divine love, pure, organic. And then with all that power, it's literally like a waterfall. The power, power of a waterfall can surge electricity, and does. You ever been to Niagara Falls? That's what it's given. Somehow finding your way, standing under, what is it called, Niagara Falls? Oh, that's the boat. It's called Old something. I forget. I've been to Niagara Falls a couple times, but one time in particular, I was able to actually go out into a boat and get close to the waterfall, and you can't help but get wet on the route that they take. It's misty everywhere, and then the way they turn around, it's like you literally damn near get drenched, depending on where you are in the boat. So that's the type of love we talking about here. So, if you ain't trying to get wet, then I guess you're going to have to find yourself out somewhere out of the line of the flow or out of the water. And that seems like a very dry place to be, if you ask me. Look at this. 8 of Cups on the beach at that. With the peace sign again, like this is somebody that they've left a lot behind to find their way to a peaceful shore. And by God, they found it. And now that they have, with the Hangman here, now that they have, it's like, ain't no turning back. Once you've been enlightened a certain way, it's like once you get a taste of what is in the divine cup, you don't want anything else. Once you've had one sip of love in its purest form, in its most organic frequency, and it's unlimited at that, and ain't nothing you got to do to pay for it or work for it except for just allow yourself to be loved and give yourself permission to love. You could never settle for anything less than that. And everything you've ever had before just doesn't even compare. That's the type of partnership we're talking about here. A love like no other. There's never been a love like this. And as far as you're concerned, there never will be. And that's the type of love that's worth protecting and holding on to with everything that you got. Also, King of Wands. That's the element I forgot, as a protector. That's what he's doing. He's protecting the best interest of that love to keep it pure, even if it means from, anything that he might do. Yeah, like in the masculine energy on both sides, feminine and masculine, but female or male. But from the feminine perspective, this is given a protection, like devout protection of a love that you deem to be sacred, that you won't even let yourself taint it. You won't let yourself ruin it or waste it or lose it. So like I said, it may have been lonely at the top, but it won't be forever, and it won't be for long. Prepare yourself for an overflow that you have never, ever experienced before. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with